Good evening to the January 22nd Los Osos Advisory Council. And we're going to get started right away on time. Let's first do a roll call for our council members. Andrea,
Present.
David Cheney,
Here.
Jim Salio. Jim is present. Gary Katayama. I do not see Gary. Myself, yes. John Lynn, present. Jim Stanfield, not yet. Molly Brown?
Here.
Okay, great. Um, Chairperson announcements. I don't have any announcements tonight. So do we have any council member announcements? I don't see any hands. So we'll move on to county and local reports. Is the sheriff here? Don't see the sheriff. So, but I do see James Ferguson with the CHP. If you'd like to unmute and give us your report, that'd be great.
Yeah, wonderful. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
So for the month of January, we had five traffic crashes that occurred within Los Osos community. I'll go through five of those. The first one that we had was on LVR east of Turry Road, where the passing lane ends. Somebody tried to make that pass and ended up clipping another car. Fortunately, it was just property damage only, but that was one of the crashes we had there as well. LVR east of Valle Vista Place, he had three vehicle rear end. Somebody was stopped and somebody didn't pay attention to keep their eyes up and came across stop traffic ahead. That last car hit the car in front of them, which subsequently hit the car in front of them as well, again, resulting in just property damage only. At the parking lot, actually, of 1352 Los Osos Valley Road, there's a parking lot there. We had a vehicle that tried to turn into a parking stall and subsequently hit a car. That startled that person that tried making that first initial turn. They overcorrected, hit the gas, and hit another car, which was pushed into two others. Just simply something like we call it just a freak crash that happened. Nobody's anticipating hitting a car and then losing control and then hitting three other cars with that one. So anytime we have these types of crashes that are a little bizarre, our officers actually will speak with the individual, try to find out their state of mind. We also have a form, not saying this is what we did with this, but we have the ability to let the DMV know what we can do a driver's license re-exam, and the DMV can reach out to those individuals as well. So it's something our officers do look at when something happens. It's kind of odd like that, it's that type of behavior.
Um,
At Crockett Circle, south of Travis Drive, we had a vehicle that was parked along the roadway. The owner came out the next morning and saw that his car was sideswiped, and that was a hit and run crash that we ended up having there. I always encourage people, if they have any type of camera footage, they see something like stickers on cars. This is what helps us try to track people down that does hit and runs. That's one thing that infuriates me, is when somebody else hits somebody else's car and then leaves and doesn't provide any information. So I like to try to help people track them down and get them so we can prosecute them and at least try to get some type of financial compensation. The last crash that we had was at Fairchild Way. Big rig was turning into, I think it's like an Edward Jones and a Pilates facility there, and didn't anticipate the turning radius of his trailer. And there was a vehicle that was parked on the right shoulder there and subsequently just clipped and ripped off the front bumper of the vehicle. Fortunately, the truck driver did stick around and we were able to take the appropriate action on that and get that taken care of. But that's all I have to report unless you guys have any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, and I just wanted to mention to you, if you would like us to send the agenda to you, James, if you would put in the chat your email address, we can forward you the agenda for each month. But the agenda is always the same for you. You're like right at the top.
Okay.
Oh,
But yeah, I'll be more than happy to send that. Actually like that just so I can kind of peruse it and see how everything's going.
okay, yeah, that's great. So if you put it in the chat and then we'll grab it off the chat, we'll try to make sure to always send you an email copy of the agenda in advance.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And you guys have a wonderful evening.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Okay. So moving on to county staff report, Mason.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you, Ms. Howe, and members of the Advisory Council, Mason Dennings, Will County Planning and Building. I don't have a ton to bring to you guys tonight. I think the biggest one is I sent an email. Um, Holidays make time fly. I can't remember now if it's late December or early January to Miss Howell related to some of our housing element implementation. So our housing element, the state requires that jurisdictions have a general plan that generally guide planning policy and practices within the jurisdiction. And there's some required elements of that plan. The biggest one for a lot of jurisdictions is the housing element. Our housing element, most housing elements are on a cyclical update cycle, and ours is implemented via, I believe, approximately 7 or 8 actions, and that's by our long-range planning team. Claire is one of our implementing planners on that. I think most of you guys are familiar with her to her previous time as a LOCAC liaison. Um, we are looking for community input and feedback related to some actions and steps within that housing element. I don't have all the information. This is just kind of an introductory review of what we'll be looking for. I think our long range staff are slightly changing their approach on how they're going to get that feedback. And so I originally had indicated to Ms. Howe that it would come via, I think, a survey or community involvement via that method. It seems like we're going to be bringing our long range staff to your advisory councils for questions or input. And I would expect to have more information on that near the start or the middle of February. So maybe at the February general meeting for Los Osos Advisory Council. I will be accompanied by another planner, but more to follow, and I'll let Miss Howe know via email when I receive additional information. Other than that, I don't have anything else for the council tonight. I am going to stick around because one of my projects off Clark Valley Road is on the consent agenda in case there's any questions on that one. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the community may have.
All right. Thank you, Mason. Do we have any questions for Mason? I don't see any hands up. So thank you. And we'll move on to Supervisor Gibson. I think I saw him.
Somewhere he lurks
There he is.
around in the corner of the chat room here. Madam Chair, thank you so much. A pleasure to be with you all this evening. Let me start by introducing somebody that most of you may already know. Over to my right, I don't know where he is on your screen, Mr. Jim D'Antona has taken over as, you can call him Chief of Staff, Legislative Assistant, District Staffer. We haven't quite figured out what the working title is, but he has replaced Mr. Blake Fixler as District 2 staff as of the first week of January, doing a great job. Available at the same phone number, and I'm sure Jim will drop his email, which is jdantona at the normal mess, that's the county email address, he can drop that into the chat. Same the same deal applies. If you want to get stuff done, contact Jim, and he will work with me and the other county staff, and off we go. So look forward to your chance to interact with him. In terms of specific things to report, one of them that's not near Los Osos really, but has made a big difference elsewhere in the second district. It's the opening of Highway 1. Incredible work by Caltrans to get that done. Years of work. The physics of that thing were just astounding, the scale of it, and their dedication to doing that is making a big difference to our visitor serving areas up there. The other thing is Los Osos specific, and I just want to give my absolute gratitude and props to all the folks who've worked so hard to get the Sunnyside assessment pushed through the CSD and headed toward the Board of Supervisors so we can get it on the ballot. I have, in my 19 plus years of representing Los Osos, this is an incredibly positive outcome, and just everybody involved deserves a lot of thanks for that. So looking for that to cross our desks. I don't think there's any question, but we'll get that on the ballot for you, and we can look forward to a good result there. Elsewhere on the county's agenda, on the agenda for next Tuesday, there are only three items in our open session, and not a huge long consent agenda, but each of them has significance. I'll start with the afternoon item is the Truth Act Forum, transparent review of unjust transfers and holds. It's a state law that requires the Sheriff's Department to report to the Board of Supervisors and the public regarding their interactions with ICE and other immigration agencies. Obviously, there's a lot of emotion, a lot of concern, a lot of reasonable concern as we watch a bunch of anonymous, masked agents of the federal government engage what I can only see as a campaign of intimidation with brutal tactics, and that's damaging a lot of communities. It deeply concerns me. The sheriff will be presenting at the forum. Various folks have questions about how the sheriff's office interacts or does not interact with ICE, and he'll be there to present, and there will be, of course, public comment there. So we're expecting a full afternoon, and we'll get through that. Second item is the board's consideration of the spending plan for the half-cent tax being proposed by SLOCOG. I see Ms. Bowski here, likely to present. I know you're on the agenda. Having heard that much of that presentation last night at the Cambria Advisory Council, I likely won't stay tuned for the whole thing, but a lot of information there, and certainly any comments that you have, I'd be grateful to receive. And then the third item is on our board's agenda is a major investment in our behavioral health, mental health, and substance abuse treatment programs for the county. We will be accepting and allocating a $21.6 million grant that's going to be used to acquire a building in Paso Robles that will be built out to provide a wide range of mental health and substance abuse services, among them a couple of different inpatient facilities where folks who need to be held protected because they're a danger to themselves or others can be housed, and a similar inpatient facility for youth. Just a lot of space and a lot of resources to pursue one of the board's priorities, which is increasing the reach and the effectiveness of our mental health system. That one is funded by state funds, actually bond funds that come out of Proposition 1 that was approved in the last election. Prop 1 was the governor's vision of changing how behavioral health is provided in the state. It imposed quite a number of changes on county government, because we are the providers of those kinds of behavioral health services. We're just going to have to adapt to it, and we're well along the way in doing that. But the other thing was a total of about, I think, $6 billion of bond funds to be let out over coming years. The first tranche of that is where we've gotten this $21.6 million grant. So a lot of benefit there, and we'll be taking action on that. The reason I bring that up last is that is also the transition then to things we're concerned about. The governor, as you may know, has put out his proposed budget a couple of weeks ago now, or a week plus ago. Counties have a lot of concerns with it because, as we look at it, it does not do everything we would hope it would do to protect the social safety net. Again, core function of counties is to provide the services that are part of the the social safety net, and wide range of things from the social services welfare system, if you will, behavioral health, uh, physical health, medical care, and our work on homelessness are all all part of that have revenue streams that we depend on the state, particularly on homelessness. The governor has been very erratic about providing ongoing funding. We've had a great deal of success. We've got a lot more to do. So we'll be working through our state association to try to make that right. And of course, all the work on the state budget is complicated by the insanity that's occurring at the federal level. And so we're just going to have to work through that. A lot of the impacts we see come from the HR 1, the big budget bill that the Trump administration pushed through last year, trickling down to negatively affect states, particularly California. So that's just sort of those are the top line items. There's a bunch of other things that are ongoing, but at this point I'll pause and be happy to take your questions.
Okay, great. Well, those, as you say, those are some big items. So I see David Cheney, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this is just kind of a general, maybe slightly off-topic question, but pretty much everything we do is sort of constrained by budget, and I realize I have very little understanding about how the county budget comes together or is made, or where the money comes from and where it goes. Is there a way to get smart on this? And is there a tutorial anywhere or something written about, because it's something we're dealing with all the time, but it's a complete mystery to me about, how it works.
Yeah, where to start? I see our former head of probation, Mr. Jim Salio, smiling. The budget book.
Read the budget book.
Yeah, the budget book printed out is literally nearly 2 inches thick, and I I have been a student of the budget for all 19 years I've been in office, and will tell you that the most stressful meeting, and I'm sincere about this, the most stressful meeting I've ever attended as a supervisor was my first budget hearing in 2007, because it is so massive and there is so much money now, around $1 billion moving through 26 departments and hundreds of different programs. It is complicated. Where to start? You could go to slowcounty.ca.gov, the county main website, and just up in the search bar, type county budget in there. Jim D'Antona has dropped the link into the chat. Start there. The first few pages of the budget, among the links you'll see there is to the final budget for fiscal year 25-26. That's the fiscal year we're in. Our fiscal years run 1st of July to 30th of June. So we're in the 25-26 fiscal year. And that will give you, those first few dozen or 20 pages of the budget book will give you just the overall sense of it. Mr. D'Antona, if you just make me a note to talk to the admin office, now the executive office, about what kind of introduction to the budget we might be able to put forward. We do have simplified pamphlets and stuff, but it really is. I mean, we have people who spend their careers dealing with county finance.
Yeah.
And
Well, and an example of the kind of a simple question I have is, if we were to have more development that led to growth and increased tax revenue generated from Los Osos, would that money come back to Los Osos? Or is there a process that the money raised, in areas goes back, or is it that's all,
so
depends on supervisors' decisions?
Well, it does all depend on supervisors' decisions. You may be sorry to hear that. It actually specifically depends on 3 supervisors' decisions, and I can't tell you which of the 3 of the 5 of us that's going to be on any given day. But let me just give you 2 points, because that topic comes up. Two topics. There's a lot of people who say we need to do this residential growth because it's going to bring in tax revenue for the county. Well, it does bring in tax revenue, but it also causes the county to have to spend more on services for the residents that come to these. In the average, the last time that was studied, which was some years ago, in a general sense, residential development creates more expense than it brings in revenue. And that's largely due to Prop 13, that even with the very high prices, the amount of property tax capped at 1% of assessed valuation significantly limits the stream of revenue to the county. There's the 1%, and then there are add-ons for school bonds and other things that your wastewater service charges show up on your property tax bills. But the basic 1% thing is that. The other question is, well, how much property tax does Los Osos, for instance? We get this question fairly regularly. How much property tax does Los Osos generate, and how much service does Los Osos get? That's a hard one. That it sounds like a dodge, but it's really difficult because when you look at the services provided to any resident in the county, you have the services of the DA, of the county jail is a service that's paid for by the county taxpayers, the parks system, the library system, the tax assessor. In the right crowd, I can joke that you get the services of the tax assessor and the tax collector when you pay your property tax. But all those things are budgeted as a whole.
Yeah.
Trying to sort it out, how much service does each community get is really, it's essentially impossible to do. It's my job to advocate within the budget process and in front of my colleagues to make sure that issues that come up in the second district receive the resources of the county. And we've been pretty successful about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. That's plenty for now. I didn't want to hijack the meeting into
we could go on. We could go on, and I don't have a whiteboard, so that's a good thing. So.
Thank you. All right, good question, David. Andrea, your hand is up.
Thanks. Really just a information point for both you and Jim D'Antona. I wanted to let you know that, and I sent you an email today, Bruce, but it was late in the afternoon. I appreciate you announcing that Mr. D'Antona is now your legislative assistant or aide. But it is fair to let you know that I've had I'm going to say a significant number of Los Osos residents indicate that they feel like that's a conflict and an unethical decision based on the fact that he's running for District 2 Board of Supervisors. Really not a discussion tonight, certainly, but I just thought it's important to let you know that is certainly swirling around for the last couple of weeks here in Los Osos. And I'm not sure if any of the other board members have heard it. Maybe people feel like I'm the one to tell, but important for you to know that, and Mr. D'Antona as well.
Okay.
Okay. Molly, you have your hand up.
Yes. So I just have two questions. One is that North County Facility for Behavioral Health that you were talking about, Bruce, is that a new building or an existing building?
It's an existing building.
Okay, so it's new services.
Yeah. But
Okay.
it has to be significantly remodeled inside to serve the purpose we need. It will be a couple years before it's open, likely.
Okay, and is it going to include some inpatient stuff?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you happen to know how that project is going, that short-term housing project up at Bishop and
The Welcome
Johnson?
Home. Is it Welcome Home Village?
Sorry.
The one up by the old General Hospital.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I am given to understand that it's moving along quite well.
Okay.
And that, in fact, a ribbon cutting should be on our schedule within a couple of months, I want to say, maybe 3, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Supervisor Gibson? Just looking here. I don't see any hands up. Just a little comment on that tax revenue question that David brought up. It's my experience since I've reached out to the county tax collector that all of the unincorporated tax monies are grouped together. And
Mhm.
so if you say, I would like to know how much tax money from Los Osos goes to the county, they can't really break it out. They don't really have a separate calculation for Los Osos because that was a question I asked them.
Yeah.
Um,
They would have to, sort. It would be a major project for the tax collector to go and look at the APN, the assessor parcel numbers that contribute how much to what. The data is there, but yes,
They'd have to
actually,
back it out and
yeah,
time
we
consuming
are.
and
We do have a $25 million project going to replace the software that runs the guts of the county organization, and maybe in a couple of years when that is fully, or I guess it's about a year from now, that'll be fully implemented. I'm given to understand that answering questions like that might be a little bit simpler. So,
ooh, that sounds great. All right, super. Okay, thank you so much, Supervisor Gibson.
yeah.
Let's go on to the Community Service District report.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Tom.
All right, this is Tom Cross from the Los Osos CSD. A couple of things. The Sunnyside School special board meeting occurred, and just background on that, the district was informed that the Sunnyside Park Citizens Initiative, Citizens Coalition's ballot initiative was certified by the Clerk Recorder's Office on January 1st, and because of that, a special board meeting was held on January 12th for the CSD to consider and adopt two resolutions. One, to request that the election be consolidated with the primary election on June 2nd of this year, and two, the requesting the ballot measure be placed on the ballot. Both resolutions were approved and submitted to the clerk reporter by the board office on January 13th. And it is on the Board of Supervisors' consent agenda for the January 27th meeting to approve the request for that measure to be on the June 2nd, 2026 ballot. And this is written specifically, the district would like to thank the coalition for their hard work to make that happen. And seriously, phenomenal work from the coalition. I feel very lucky to live in Los Osos. When the community here wants something, we make it happen. And it's incredible to see that such a grassroots effort can get what we want in the community done. All right, next on this list, the SLO County Growth Management Ordinance in Los Osos. The Board of Supervisors discussed the Los Osos growth rate for 2026 at the December 16th meeting. The Los Osos Basin Management Committee, which the Los Osos Community Service District is a part of, had recommended a 0% growth rate. County staff recommended a 0.4% rate. The BMC's recommendation was based on the recently completed transient groundwater model, which indicates that seawater intrusion is continuing into the basin under the groundwater pumping rate. Director Sasania and Ron Munns attended the December 16th meeting and provided public comment supporting the BMC's recommendation. After an extensive discussion, the Board of Supervisors approved the 0.4% growth rate. I know that's not like the best. It's not what we at the BMC wanted, but I do want to acknowledge that it is lower than what was the number that was originally floated around, which I think was 0.6. So although it's disappointing that we didn't get the 0.0% growth that we wanted, again, the community being vocal did move the needle at least a little bit, and I wanted to thank the community for that. And Bruce for listening to the public, even if it's not the exact results we wanted. And this issue will be a hot topic for the Basin Management Committee to discuss in the coming months. Contact Ron at the district's office for more information. Speaking of Ron, there is a recruitment going on for the new general management position for the CSD. So last month, Ron reported that he's announced his intent to retire somewhere towards the end of this year, and the board has hired a recruiting firm to search for his replacement. The job posting is available on the district's website, and the closing date for the applications is February 8th. So if you are qualified and interested, or know anyone who's qualified and interested, they are encouraged to apply. It is our hope that the new general manager is hired and in the office by late May or early June. Ron will continue on to offer support during the transition and help with more of the more complicated projects until a date to be determined. which I think is until like we're all confident that Ron can comfortably step away without anyone panicking. And boring but exciting news for us. We've had our annual financial audit results, and we're happy to announce that we received a glowing report with no findings of non-compliance from the audit firm. And the board wants to thank the district staff for the hard work to maintain a high level of integrity and transparency when presenting the district's finances to a public, committees, and the board. So that's all I have right now for the talking points. See any questions? I don't know if Ron is here to answer questions, but if not, I'll also answer questions to the best of my ability.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Do we have any questions for Tom Cross with the CSD? Don't see any hands up. Okay. Thank you so much, Tom.
Thank
It was a
you.
good report. Unfortunately, I do not see Jim Stanfield here, which is unfortunate because he does the chamber report. He is also our treasurer, so hopefully he'll show up if he's a little bit late. So since there's no Chamber of Commerce report, we can now move to public comments for items that are not on the agenda. So do we have anyone here that wants to make a public comment? You have 3 minutes. Looking, do not see any hands. Okay, no public comment right now. Then we'll move to the consent agenda. Jim, you want to describe this?
Sure. This is an as-built permit, which means that it already exists. It's a bridge that's from that goes over the Los Osos Creek on the property on Clark Valley. Uh, the bridge is there to give the owner of the property access to the property. There's been significant erosion along the creek and the road, so she has not been able to access her property. We saw no impact on this and asked to just be placed on the consent agenda to move it forward. Mason, is there anything else that you want to add to that?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Salio. I think just I think with this one, noting exactly what you said is that it's an as-built project, which can have complications in and of itself, right? Because it was placed at a time without a permit and may not have had code compliance or code standards in mind. And so, I think as your council and the land use committee reviews it and looks at should we approve this or should we recommend approval for this type of project in this location, just keeping in mind that the county, both county fire, county building, they have code requirements for emergency access. They have code requirements for bridges and revetments that there may or may not be, based off of their referral responses, potential issues there. And then county planning, from a land use perspective, we're looking at several things, one of which is compliance with CEQA, compliance with our local coastal program. And so with that, obviously there's a lot of ESHA out in Los Osos and in our coastal zones, and some of which is around Los Osos Creek, blue lines. And so just giving a reminder that there is some issues that are outlined within an information hold letter. I think you guys may or may not have access to that, that may slightly change the scope or the staff recommendation for this project specifically, I'll say, since we're speaking about it rather than broadly. Granted, the request should generally remain the same, right? Is to place an access over Los Osos Creek so that we can access the parcel, or the property owner can access the parcel in the event that there's emergency. So the idea of the project won't change. Now, if it does change substantially, whether that's location, size, impacts, we'll refer it back to your council. But other than that, the approval would, or the recommendation of approval would still stand, and we wouldn't bring it back to the council even if they change revetments or designs or something of that nature. And so there may be slight changes, just giving you guys a heads up. And if there's anything significant, we would bring it back.
Okay. Does everybody get that? Do you have any questions about this consent item on Clark Valley Road? Andrea, go ahead.
I was just curious, Jim, did the land use committee have any concerns about it? I know it's on consent, so it probably means no, but I just wanted to.
No, and because the biggest thing for us was that Fish and Game had looked at it. It's in a riparian habitat, so the owner presented that there was no issues there, but like Mason said, we knew it's an as built, so there may be adjustments that need to happen later on. But as far as an access to the property, it seemed like a reasonable way to go about it.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? So do I have a motion for these consent? John, Lynn, okay. John, and a second.
I'll second.
Molly, okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I don't see any opposed. Okay. Unanimous to pass the consent agenda item. All right.
Deborah,
Yes.
do you mind if I jump out of order here and do you bring up the land use issue with the golf course while Mason's here? And I think that's what Jeff Edwards is waiting for as well.
Okay.
Then Mason and Jeff don't have to sit through the presentation of the tax.
I think that's very efficient, and I would agree that that's a good idea. So why don't you go ahead?
So basically what I wanted to ask the committee is that we had approved on consent a lot line adjustment for the golf course. They wanted to reconfigure the lot to have a lot that only included the house that sits right there on Solano or Pecho at the. And now it went back to the county, and Public Works said that it can't be a lot line adjustment because of the relationship to Solano Street. It had to be a partial adjustment. Nothing really changes. They're just changing what it is. So they came back and said, county came back and said, is there anything, that LOCAC wants to comment on? And I said, well, I can't speak without it going back to the land use committee and then coming back to LOCAC. And so, but really nothing's changed. So not having this kind of situation before where the county kind of changed, not the scope of the project anyway whatsoever, just the mechanism that it gets approved. I think just for us, we could just say, no, we don't have any, further comments other than the comments we made at our when we originally approved it on the consent agenda. But I wanted to kind of get the opinion of the committee before we went that. If you wanted to go back to land use to review, I have no problem with that. I just want to be efficient and not be over bureaucratic.
Okay.
Mason, did I cover that correctly?
You did. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mason.
No, Mr. Salio provided a good overview, and for any additional information, our one of our coastal team planners, Andy Knighton, is the project manager. I'm briefly familiar with the project, but I believe Mr. Edwards is serving as the agent, and I would defer to him in the event that he has like a quick presentation or any comments to make related to why that mechanism changed. And I see as he has his hands up, so I'll go ahead and defer.
All right, Jeff, you want to unmute yourself and go ahead and add to the conversation.
Good evening. Very simply, I concur with Mr. Salio's analysis and recommendation, and would ask that your prior approval go forward, unless there are any other questions. So fairly simple.
I don't. I guess I do have a question, because to me the original thing was really simple, because there's the house on Pecho and then there's the golf course. And so I don't know why now this has to be a parcel. Does that mean that the first hole is part of that parcel? No, it can't be. How does that? It doesn't change the line, right?
So the entirety of the Sea Pines property north of Skyline and east of Solano, that's basically the golf course, clubhouse, and first hole. And that also includes the residence on Pecho. before the lot line adjustment was allowed because, as in most cases, the property owners owned the center line of Solano in this case. However, this is exceptional. Solano, as it turns out, is not owned by the abutting property owners. So that's what we relied on for the lot line adjustment application. Now it's a simple parcel map to carve the residential uh, uh, property off onto its own lot.
Okay.
So Jim Salio did characterize it properly. It's a procedural matter. Physically, nothing has changed or will change as a result.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay, Andrea, your hands up?
I'm just confused. Is this on our agenda?
No, but it would
this
be
is
part of the land
I'm
use
just
committee
trying to
report.
understand how to handle this, Andrea. I'm
Oh,
not, this
okay.
is not a, this is just, is this something that we should bring back to the land use? Or can we just say, we already made a decision on it, nothing's changed, it's just a procedural change on the county's part, whether it's a parcel adjustment or a lot line adjustment?
We can bring it back to the agenda, Andrea. That's essentially the question. Jim didn't want to wait until his report for the land use committee for, the reasons we have people here waiting. So, but if you want to bring it back to the agenda, we can bring it back to the agenda, or we can just keep the same approval that we gave it before.
It just seems weird that we're making I mean, I'm not opposed. I don't think I don't believe I'm opposed to it. It just seems weird that it's just not on the agenda. It seems weird to me that we're.
Right, but we've already approved it.
Yeah.
We've already approved it. It's just what I'm saying is that's the question. So if the county changes the procedural process or calls it something different, everything else is exactly the same, whether it's a lot line adjustment or a parcel adjustment, and it has to do with like what Jeff said, the relation to Solano Street. We could go back and put it back on land use and do it. Probably going to come up with the exact same thing and bring it back here to get approved for LOCAC. The other issue that kind of why I brought it up too is that this on the second, it was set to go to the SBR. Is that right, Mason?
SRB.
Correct.
SRB.
Yeah.
What is the SRB? What does that stand for? You guys speak in acronyms so much.
Subdivision Review Board.
Thank you.
And as you pointed out, Jim, it is scheduled, and I would just respectfully submit that if there, unless there's some substantive item that should be considered, and I would again submit that there isn't, it will be allowed to proceed to the February SRB meeting instead of being deferred another month. And so it would be greatly appreciated if we could move it along.
And I just didn't feel comfortable saying, no, it's fine. Go ahead, let it move along. That's why I wanted to bring it back here and say, what do you guys want to do? I mean, as a procedural process within LOCAC.
Okay, any more
Not asking
comments?
to.
Any comments about that?
Andrea.
I'm not. Yeah,
Yeah.
my only comment is I'm not comfortable. I'm just not comfortable with how we're doing this. I'm worried about the procedure. It makes sense to me to bring it back. That's just my feeling. And especially if you're looking because it sounds like you're looking for an approval from us.
No, I'm
Already
looking to say,
approved.
we've already approved it. I'm looking to say we're good with the last approval. Just that's fine. I don't care what you call it, whether you call it a lot line adjustment or a parcel adjustment. Our approval is our approval. That's the issue.
And it was on consent.
Sure, I get that. Okay,
Yeah.
then I guess I'm wondering why we're even talking about it.
Because I don't feel comfortable just making a decision all by myself. That's why we have a committee.
Jim, thanks. Because I wasn't sure why we had a committee.
Okay, let's get back to business. For one, myself, I would not change my mind about the approval on this project based on this new information. And if there is anybody here that has a different feeling, well, it sounds like Andrea might want to change her mind. I don't know, or she's just not happy with the way we've proceeded. It should have been on the agenda. That would have been better, right?
Absolutely correct.
Okay, so there we go. Can we say that it's not going to come back? Is that what we want to do? Is anybody
I
opposed
think what
to
we
that?
want to say is we just want to say and this is what the county asked. Is your previous recommendation still the same? And I couldn't answer that one way or the other. So I think we just say our previous recommendation has not changed. What we did back in, I think it was 2024 we did this
I think it was heard last year.
last year. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
I think it was in May or June of last year, if I recall.
So I let me just close this up. We should have put it on the agenda. It didn't get on the agenda. It was part of the land use committee report. And so we will wait until the land use committee report later in the evening, and we'll decide if that's going to be something we want to bring back at that point. But thank you for the early discussion on this matter. I think that's going to be how we handle that. All right, let's move on, unless there's anything else. Any other comments? All right. Regular agenda is presentation by LOCAC for the Local Roads Initiative. And where are you, Annie, so I can make you co-host?
Yeah, right here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're happy to have you and happy to see what you've got for us tonight. So let's go ahead.
I'm just going to share my screen super quick if the technology allows, which of course it does sometimes. There we go. Can everyone see that okay? I'm sure you're seeing yourselves, so I apologize for that. But all right. And everyone can see my presentation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Wonderful. And yeah, thank you so much for having me this evening. My name is Annie Bowski, and I'm with the San Luis Obispo Council of Governments. And it's really nice to be kind of virtually in Los Osos. I live in Paso, so I usually go to a lot of the North County meetings. So it's nice to kind of move around a little bit. And I'm sure many of you guys have seen this. I know James Worthley, our deputy director, has presented a couple times, and I believe Carolyn Berg presented a few months ago as well. And basically what we're talking about today
Annie,
is
I think you have a little window open on your screen.
Oh, that is you guys. Thank you.
There you go.
It took me
I kept trying to close it.
Yeah, me too. I was trying to close it.
There we go. Okay.
All right, good deal. All right, now we're with you.
Awesome. Thank you for that. You didn't miss anything too important, don't worry. But I'm sure you guys are all pretty familiar. SLOCOG has kind of been pounding the pavement the past couple years, and we've been working to get a potential dedicated transportation tax, originally on the November 2024 ballot, but now we're working toward the November 2026 ballot. And at our December board meeting, we hit a pretty good milestone. So our board approved the advancement of a draft expenditure plan. So instead of doing the presentation we had been doing the past couple years, we're actually able to change it up. And we're here basically, we've been going around to all the cities, as many CACs as we can hit, and hearing what their feedback is. So that's kind of why we're here today. A little bit of background on SLOCOG. I'm sure most of you guys know this, but we're the transportation planning agency for the county, and we're represented by the 7 cities and then the unincorporated areas. So we have the largest governing board in all of SLO County. So we have a member representative from each of the 7 cities, and the 5 county supervisors as well. So thank you to Supervisor Gibson, if he's still on the call, for teeing me up. And basically our job is to use state and federal funding, predominantly generated by the gas tax, to repair our roads and also fund major infrastructure projects. And we've come to the conclusion, excuse me, there we go. We've come to the conclusion, which this probably isn't very surprising to anyone, that we are lacking quite a bit in funding throughout the county. And of course, gas taxes have gone down over the years, but what a lot of counties have done, they've gotten creative and they've activated their voters and approved a dedicated transportation tax. So that's what once again, we're kind of trying to do kind of to fix, repair, and update our transportation needs. This slide really just focuses on kind of what we don't have funding for. Of course, the big major infrastructure projects get a lot of the attention. So we did get a grant, which is great, for Shell Beach near Pismo, the Five Cities project, but there's still quite a lack of funding throughout the rest of the county. And it's not just these big infrastructure projects, but it's also the smaller projects, safe routes to school, local road repairs, just those kind of general projects as well. And this is kind of a look, this is kind of our first look at how the STIP funds, or the State Transportation Improvement Programs, these are guaranteed funds that we get from the state every year, mainly from SB1, which is of course the gas tax that California collects. And due to decreased gas use, these have been decreasing over the years. So you can see our neighboring counties, Santa Cruz, Monterey, Santa Barbara, are all facing the same issue since about 2018. We're slowly losing funds, but once again, it's our neighbors who have implemented a dedicated transportation tax. And in 2024 alone, our three neighboring counties have collected about $100 million just in 2024. And SLO County would have collected a potential $35 million if we had this tax in place. And this just takes a bit of a broader look at what our county is missing out on compared to the rest of California. So 25 counties in California, 89% of the population have a voter-approved transportation tax. And these numbers represent since 2016. So once again, we're comparing ourselves to our neighbors. We have about the same population as Santa Cruz, and they were able to bring in about 196 million since 2016. And if we once again had this tax in place, we would have brought in about $270 million. So we did go out for this, as many of you probably know, out in 2016. And we lost by about 400 votes. So unfortunately, we have been missing out since then. And even though Santa Cruz and SLO County have a similar population, SLO County would have been estimated to collect quite a bit more funds just because we have such a wonderful tourism economy. So that's also something we're missing out on collecting when the tourists come, which is wonderful. They use our roads, but they're not paying to use those roads. And additionally, it's not just about the collected funds, but the ability to leverage those funds at the state and federal level. And with no money to leverage on larger projects, there's no way to bring the funding back to the area. And that's kind of a review of where we had been. But we're going to look forward now to what is in the draft expenditure plan. So we've done quite a bit of outreach over the past 8 months or so, but also over the past couple years as well. And basically, to summarize this expenditure plan, it has flexibility, guarantees, and assurances. So that's, of course, what we heard. We definitely want to make sure that we obviously demonstrate that we're spending this funding properly and create trust in the way we spend these funds. So basically, this kind of package estimated $35 million per year is broken down into kind of 4 different pots. So the first pot would be 55% of the funds, about $19.25 million per year. And this would be population-based and broken down into the 8 different jurisdictions. And there's actually a couple little nuances in here that I'll get into a little later, but just for kind of a bird's eye view of things, this is where we're at right now. So that includes the 7 cities along with the, of course, unincorporated area. And so each governing board, so it would be the city councils or the board of supervisors, decides where to spend this money. So it's completely under local control and lots of flexibility as long as it is spent on transportation. And once again, one of the requirements is that a capital improvements program is produced showing how these funds would be spent. The second kind of breakdown of funds is 40%. So this is for regional corridor improvements. This is also population-based, and you can kind of see on this map, at this time, Los Osos would be included in the North Coast area. So basically it would be the 4 different subregions broken down once again by population. And this would be more for like broader projects, say LOVR or even potentially South Bay Boulevard could be considered a regional project. So this gets down into the nitty gritty a little bit more. So you can see the 55%, the 40%, and then to kind of round it out, there would be 4% dedicated to senior, disabled, and veterans mobility improvement. So there's a lot of seniors. I personally share an office space with the woman who runs our Know How to Go program. And it's so hard because there are literally seniors in this county who can't even get to doctor's appointments. And we don't always have the ability to get rides for them. So this would definitely help the seniors in our community, which is, of course, a growing population. And then additionally, we would have to do audits and do some behind the scenes administrative work to ensure the money's being spent correctly, produce reports, so on and so forth. So there would be a maximum 1% administration fee. And just to get into, I'll get into the nitty gritty now, and then we can kind of go back and happy to answer any questions. So if you see the 55%, there's the 8 different pots of funding. At this point, the unincorporated area just under the 55% road repairs is one specific pot of funds. But we, Deborah definitely shared some feedback on this, and we've heard a lot of different feedback when discussing this. So there's one idea is to break the unincorporated funding into 4 different subregions. And a second opinion we've heard, and you guys are welcome to share this, of course, during discussion, is to break the unincorporated funding down into the 5 supervisorial districts. So basically, there's one person you could call up and say where you want the money to go. And as of now, the board will approve the draft expenditure plan, or if they decide to approve the draft expenditure plan, we have the recommendation to do it by supervisorial districts, but we're happy to continue to hear your feedback on that. And this is basically, of course, the cities get a lot of focus, but this is kind of shows what's in it for the CACs. So twice per 2 year, based on programming cycle, presentations to the CACs to provide updates on funding, plan, and future projects. CACs would, of course, be able to provide their project lists and kind of what they'd like fixed in their area. And then, of course, a citizens oversight committee. So what this would do is pull a representative from each supervisorial district, along with a representative from the 7 cities for a group of 12. And this would just basically be reviewing financials and kind of a checkpoint for SLOCOG and for the subregions. And definitely additional safeguards. This is, we heard throughout the county, this is something people really want. They want us to be efficient with how we do this reporting, but they also want to know that it's happening. And obviously by law, we need to produce these reports similar to SB1, or say similar to a city who has a general fund voter approved tax. And the biggest thing that people have kind of talked about is the appreciation that we would be getting yearly audits to show how this funding is being spent. And this is just a breakdown. If you've seen this presentation before, you've probably seen this slide. Basically, there would be no additional half-cent tax on housing, of course, medical or groceries. But say you're buying a new t-shirt, a new pair of pants, $30, $50, you'd be paying 15, maybe 30 additional cents on those pieces of clothing. Once again, big tourist economy in our area, which we're very fortunate for. If people are visiting Paso in the summer and go out to the coast, they're going to buy sweatshirts because it's going to be freezing. Also, if they're buying a case of wine, that's an additional tax that they are paying for our roads that stays completely local within the county. So once again, next steps, the next big day is February 4th, which is the SLOCOG board. So they'll be looking at and approving what they believe, if they decide to go forward with it, the final expenditure plan. And then we'll be also, as Supervisor Gibson mentioned, presenting at the Board of Supervisors meeting this coming Tuesday. And if that all goes well, we'll come back to our Board of Directors for final approval on April 1st, after going back to all the cities in the county with our finalized expenditure plan. So this is kind of the time now before February 4th to share your input and thoughts. So I know that was probably a lot of information, and if there's any questions or comments, happy to share any more slides. But yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, great. Thank you. Annie, if you could go back to the slide that says unincorporated areas, what's in it for you?
Yes.
That would be a good one to start with, because even though I've been really following this, I still have questions about this. Who actually makes the decisions about where the money will be spent? Is it SLOCOG? Is it the County Board of Supervisors or Public Works, or who's making the decision?
Definitely. I'll just go back to this because it's not the most interesting visual, but it kind of gives a good picture of what's going on. So the 55% broken down among the 8 jurisdictions, that is strictly for city funding. And of course, we have a lot of different needs in each city. Of course, sometimes people pick on SLO for this, but they do have a lot of bike lanes, but that serves, of course, a lot of the Cal Poly students. So, and they also are a lot more concentrated in population, so they can add more and this is all hypothetical, obviously, they can add more transit services, so on and so forth. Say in Paso, it might just be local road repairs or adding more funding to the measure they already have, say to improve bridges or.
So the cities make their own decision.
Exactly, and so does the Board of Supervisors with the unincorporated funding. So, so kind of, I don't know if it's the best analogy, but basically it would be the same, say the Board of Supervisors were basically a city council making these recommendations and approvals for funding within the unincorporated areas. And as I mentioned, as of now, it's one big pot, but it's strong consideration that it will potentially be broken down into the supervisorial districts. And then following the 40%, that would be approved by the SLOCOG board, but the funding would have to be dedicated to the different regions throughout the county.
Okay, so the unincorporated areas, the Board of Supervisors are making the decision. How is that any different from the way it is now?
As far as if it was broken down or
well, I mean, whatever money is available for roads.
It's not any different. It's exactly the same.
Okay.
Yeah, it would just be it would just ensure, say if it were theoretically broken down into the 5 supervisorial districts, and I'm
okay, but that's not on the plan. That's not in the draft. I mean, I'm not sure that that's really going to be in here. So what I'm seeing here is that it's just more money, but it's the same process of what we have right now as far as who's deciding where the money's going to go. Is that correct?
So basically, you guys can see this, correct?
Yes.
Let's see. I apologize. Thought I had it pulled up, but basically I swear I had it exactly pulled up.
Take your time.
Let's see.
This is important.
Right here. So this is what we have since added. It's not reflected on the on our chart, but what we've since added is that it would the estimated 8.5 million would be broken down among the 5 different supervisorial districts. So
Well,
there's
so my problem with that is that the population is not the same in all the unincorporated areas in the 5
Mhm.
supervisorial districts. So I think a fair way would be it definitely needs to be broken. The unincorporated areas need to be broken out into the 5 supervisorial districts, but it needs to be weighted based upon the population of those supervisorial districts, of the unincorporated in those supervisorial districts, because the population of the unincorporated areas in North County is not the same as the population of the unincorporated areas in South County or the North Coast. So that would be a much fairer way to break out the money and assure that Los Osos was getting and Cambria were getting their fair share of the dollars and not getting, that's part of the problem we have right now with property taxes, right? That, it all goes into a pool and then we have to, share it with the rest of the county. But this funding, if you're going to break it down into cities weighted by population, and that's what you're doing, correct?
Mhm.
Is the unincorporated areas of the county need to be weighted by population as well.
Yeah.
Definitely, and that's
Yep.
definitely something we can look at. Kind of the idea with the supervisorial districts, and once again, it's not necessarily our feedback that this is recommended. It's recommendations we've basically heard throughout the county, and the idea is people would be able to call one person, but that's definitely an additional
Well,
recommendation
no, it would.
we can put in there.
It'd still be the same thing, but
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
wording you have says it's equally divided among the unincorporated areas,
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
which is not
Yeah.
that's not equitable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
David, go
I think
ahead,
one of the
David.
Yeah, I think one of the problems is there's no single fair way of ever dividing up a
hmm
pot like this, because you could say, oh, let's do it by population, or you could say let's do it by miles of roads, or you could say let's do it by where the biggest needs are for the roads, or you could say let's do it where the the most business and tourism is. So there's lots of different ways. It's the problem is it's really hard to define a single way that's fair.
Definitely,
That's
and
just the nature of public policy.
Okay, but it has to be
Yeah.
decided.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. Are there other comments here? Because I certainly have plenty to say about this, but I don't want to.
Do we have an idea, Deborah or Jim, what difference would it make by population, by some measurement? Because I'm not familiar what the difference in supervisorial district population might be. Do you have a sort of a snapshot of that?
Well, I can tell you that South County has the largest population within their unincorporated area, and I think we might be next.
For second,
Um,
yeah. Is
because
that
of Los Osos, that we are the next largest area by population in the unincorporated areas. So obviously, North County is a larger area. So as David said, how many roads you have? Probably got more roads up there. So Molly, I see your hands up. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So I just had a question about between the 55% of the funding was going to the cities and then 45 to the county areas. Was that also based on kind of population?
If basically, yeah, the 55%, it's actually representative of the unincorporated, it's the 7 cities along with the unincorporated areas, and then the 40% goes down. I hope I'm clarifying right now. The 40% goes down to the 4 subregions at this point, which is also broken down by population. So it's kind of it is a little complex with the breakdown, but the 40% is strictly can be anywhere within the subregion. So North County, once again, I live up here. I always use kind of a regional corridor improvement would be the Union Road overpass on the 46, or potentially for the North Coast, and even say the North Coast and Central County could potentially use those funds, which would be regional, for Los Osos Valley Road or something along those lines. So the 40% is broken down among the 4 subregions, and then the 55% is broken down among the 7 cities, and then of course additionally the unincorporated, for a total of 8. If that answers your question.
Yeah, I
Can
think
you
I'm a
put
little
that
more
slide back
confused
up?
now.
Can you put that slide back up with the 55% and the 40% with the numbers?
Population's used on all
Was
of it,
it
right, Andy?
this one or
Hold
this?
on.
No.
It was the 55% and the 7 cities and the unincorporated, and then the 40% for the 4 subregions.
Would can you see this one, kind of a spreadsheet?
Yeah, we don't see anything right now.
Oh, okay.
You need to reshare.
Interesting. Thank you for letting me know that.
Hmm.
All right. We have this ugly box that will go away.
Okay.
And there we go.
Yes.
Thank you for pointing that out
There
to
we
me.
go. Okay, so the 55% has the 7 cities, and the money they get is by population. Is that right?
The 7 cities and the unincorporated area.
Well, the unincorporated area is not
eight
divided
million.
up by population. It's one big
Yeah.
pot. So we're not going to talk
at this time it is
at this
not.
time.
But our
And then the
most likely the
40%,
recommendation is going to be to do that.
okay, but the 40% for regional corridor improvements, that is by the subregions, North, South, Central, North Coast, and that is by population?
Yeah, that is by population of cities and unincorporated within the subregion. So North Coast would include Los Osos, Morro Bay, all the way up to San Simeon.
Right. And then you have the unincorporated $8 million, which could be divided up by supervisorial district,
Correct.
but equally and not based on population. So
At
why
this-
not population?
At this point, we've heard equally would be best, but we're definitely happy to make that recommendation as well if that's something you guys would like to recommend.
Well, I think it would be consistent. And I think that, all right, I'm just going to say my bottom line is this. I think we want this to pass. I think it's really important for our county for this to pass, but it's very difficult for the unincorporated areas to get on board with this if they don't have anything, if there's not anything in it for them. And even though you have a slide that says what's in it for you, what I saw on that slide was, oh, we're going to give you a report on where the money's going. But that's, that doesn't really get the job done as far as I'm concerned when it comes to getting things for our community. So that's my bottom line. Does anybody else want to make a comment about that?
I just have a question. When is the final approval going to be made? Is that the February 2nd or 4th or whatever it was?
Yeah, so the
Or-
final approval on the expenditure plan that we're sharing right now, if it goes through, will be February 4th. And we're bringing quite a few different pieces of feedback to the board. So if they decide to move forward with it, they'll kind of pick and choose which ones they want to add. So I'm happy to add based on population, if that's something you'd like us to put in there. So that February 4th would be the final date for the expenditure plan. And then April 1st, we would go back around to the 7 cities and the Board of Supervisors for their final approval. And then April 1st would be officially the day that, if approved, the measure would be placed on the ballot.
And just real quickly on a slow, I don't know how SlowCog works their meetings. Do you give the SlowCog board a staff report with your with staff's recommendation, and then they vote on it, or do they actually craft it right there at the board meeting?
So for this, we usually give a staff recommendation. For this one, we're most likely just going to share kind of what feedback we've heard and let the board decide kind of what they think is best for their jurisdictions. So we'll definitely
And there
share.
will,
Oh, please go ahead.
no, I was just saying, will there be public input then at that board meeting?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm our staff report is out now, so I'm happy to share that. And then it'll be February 4th at the Government Center at 9 a.m. And so
And in your,
written, oh, please go ahead.
I was just going to say, in your staff report now, it's saying that it's divided equally among, it's just one chunk. You don't have the supervisorial districts in there right now, and it's just one chunk for the unincorporated area. Is that correct?
At this time, let's see, you guys can still see this, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so county funds will be distributed equally by supervisorial districts. Sorry, it's already highlighted, but I highlighted it again.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
so that's kind of our current direction of what we've heard and the feedback we've heard. But we can definitely say, or if someone from say Los Osos came and wanted to share that feedback. So it's definitely something they'd be open to hearing, and can't guarantee anything, but that's definitely something up for consideration. So
Andrea, I see your hands up.
Thanks. Yeah, Annie, thanks so much for this presentation. I've sat through it a couple different times with a couple different agencies, and I think SlowCog has done a really good job in trying to make it understandable, especially based on, previous years and your attempts. So nice job on that.
Thank you.
And I think that in my opinion, we definitely want this to pass because whatever happens, it's going to be good for everybody in this county. I do kind of like the idea of maybe changing how we divide up the unincorporated, but mostly I just wanted to thank you for the work that you and SlowCog have done on this.
Greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
I second that as well. I know you guys have been working really, really hard on this. David.
Yeah, I also had a question. So in many cases, you'd have to either accumulate money over several years or pool it in some way in order to get the scale you need even to apply for the grants to do the big projects. So if you divide this up in so many different ways so precisely, then how do you go back and do the accounting to pool the money so you can actually bid on projects of size?
Yeah, definitely. And that's a really good question. So basically, and I'm strictly referencing regional projects, just because those would probably cost a lot more than, say, a Safe Routes to School project or something along those lines. So and once again, looking at this, referring to the 40% and the 4 subregions for regional corridor improvements. Basically, we have basically the subregions have an ability to borrow from each of the other subregions. So say if there's a total shovel-ready project on, say, Traffic Way in Atascadero, that would be considered a regional project, and the city of Atascadero may even have some additional funds to put into that and apply for a grant. So if that project is completely shovel-ready, completely ready to go, they can borrow money, say, from the South County, who may not have a complete shovel-ready project yet, and get that project implemented and get it going. And then in the next few years, say South County finally gets their project, it would be kind of the North County's time to use less money, and then that money would go to South County. And this is all done through audits, all done through tracking. And we got some feedback that the reporting process was a little onerous, and we definitely dialed a few things back. But this would be an example of why the reporting is so important, because we would be tracking every dollar and how it's spent over the 30-year sunset period of the measure.
So it'd be pretty complex. You have to have fairly complex accounting systems, and also you have to be able to explain to different people in different regions why they're not getting money now, and
definitely. And I would probably be the one doing explaining, but someone else would definitely be doing the accounting. So.
Okay, Andrea, your hand is up again. Is that
Sorry,
right?
just really quickly, Annie, the Citizens Oversight Committee, would the SLOCOG board be assigning those people to that committee would that be how it works?
Yeah, at this point, I'm pretty sure that's how it would work because of how our tax or how like say our it'd be kind of the most similar to say our CTAC committee.
Familiar.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely. And so I am not actually 100% sure about that, but I can clarify that and get back to you on that. That would be my assumption, but I'll clarify and get back to you in a follow-up email.
Okay, you don't need to get back to me. I was
Okay.
just curious. That's fine, Annie. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's my 99% assumption. I just
That's
don't
pretty
want to totally
good.
say it. So yeah.
Annie, what does it take for the SLOCOG board to pass this? How many people need to vote on it?
It would
To
be
approve.
at this point, it would be a majority vote.
Okay.
And we have 12 representatives, so basically 7 would do the trick.
So the cities always have the majority if they wanted to.
Was it specifically as far as getting the measure on the ballot or the expenditure plan? I'm sorry.
No, just they have more representatives.
They have more representation on the board, cities do than the
Oh,
county.
I'm saying yes. Yes, it is 7 to 5, of course.
But all cities don't think alike, I'll just say.
Yeah, definitely. I can't imagine we would get a straight split like that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
the betting markets are low on that one.
Here's what we know. Nobody gets anything if we don't approve this. So it needs to get approved, right? But
Definitely.
my understanding is that 40% of the voting population, lives in the unincorporated areas, and it cannot pass without the unincorporated areas supporting it. And so this is my concern again about how this pot of money is divided up. One big pot, I don't think is going to do the trick. And making some changes to that, I think, is very helpful so that we could say, yes, there's something in here for us that's going to come back to our community. And so I hope that the SLOCOG board comes up with the improvements that we're looking for, because I think it's going to be hard to pass it without it. Just my personal opinion.
Definitely. And yeah, absolutely. And we can put that in there as a recommendation from us. So I was definitely happy to do that.
Well, okay. Anybody else comment?
I would just be surprised how many votes you're going to get for a tax increase from the unincorporated areas of the North County.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I think I've been to a few different meetings out there, and I think they understand the need for it. And I've been to quite a few different CACs throughout the county, and it is interesting. Once again, I live in Paso, in a city, so it's their perspective, and I completely understand why they have that perspective. But we're hoping we can build trust and ensure they get the funding that they deserve for their community. So,
okay.
Which is not easy.
Thank you so much, Annie. And please thank the staff back at SLOCOG for this. And if there are no further questions, we will move on to our next agenda item.
Deborah, can we formalize? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Can we formalize that we support the passage of this measure if the change is made to population on the unincorporated monies? Can we formalize that? So there's no doubt of where our position is.
Is this like a motion? You want to make a motion?
Well, I'm suggesting that they want support from Los Osos, and a motion would make it clear.
Well, I personally would feel very uncomfortable voting for all of Los Osos and saying this is what Los Osos wants. I don't know that.
No, you're voting for whatever your position is, just like always.
Okay, well, I don't really see this as a motion item, but I think it's clear that everyone on the council does support this in terms of passing it with the changes that would directly benefit our community. And I think we can speak
That's all I want to do
and
is have
unequivocally to that point.
a statement that says that.
Okay, well, it's part of the minutes now.
All right.
So, thank you,
And well,
Don.
I don't know if you can say, I mean, I heard you say that everybody supports that. I don't know if I support it. So, I haven't really done all my homework on it yet. I'm not ready to make
Okay,
that
well then
decision.
maybe we don't unequivocally support it. All right. Can we move on then
Yeah,
to the next
please.
agenda item? We provided the feedback, which is what Annie was here for, to provide the feedback and present the thing. So we will leave it at that.
Thank you all for your time. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Committee reports, starting with treasurer's report. Jim's not here, so we won't entertain the treasurer's report. And now land use will be able to revisit this issue with maintaining the approval on that separation of the residential property on Pacho Road. My understanding is it doesn't change anything. It's just calling it something different than what a lot line adjustment. And so is there any issue around just keeping the approval that we've already given? Okay, I don't see anybody. I don't see any hands. I don't see any comments. So, Jim, I think you can just keep the approval in place.
Yeah. Mason, can you pass that information on?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I stuck around for the formal decision so that I could relay
Appreciate
to
that.
our
Thank
yeah,
you.
no, thank you guys for covering it. I'll relay that to the project manager in the morning. Thank you.
All right, great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mason. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Tree and landscape, Andrea.
Lots of exciting news. Hopefully you've all gone by the post office. I think I reported last time that there was not only additional plants at the post office, but also trees. And now the property owner, I shouldn't say post office, next door to the post office. Now the property owner has agreed to irrigate everything. So it looks absolutely beautiful. I think it's one of our finer projects. We're also still hoping to plant on Los Osos Valley Road in the area close to the skate park. We're hoping to get the county to agree to irrigate that with the recycled water. So that's happening, or that's in the works. John's been working diligently on that. Working with county park, kind of a combination of county parks planning and public works. And then we're also contemplating a project on the corner by Los Osos Valley Nursery. So that's what's happening in the world of tree and landscape. John, I always ask you if you have anything else.
Thank you. Nothing. You covered it well.
Excellent. Thanks.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Transportation Committee, I'm going to share my screen with you, something we've been working on, which is a map. So this is from the Los Osos Community Plan, and it shows in the brown lines, those are trails, park trails, and the green lines are dirt roads. And what we're going to do is submit this to Public Works, to Parks and Rec, and to the Bicycle Advisory Committee as a way to provide them with information that these roads are trails that are currently being used by people within Los Osos. Certainly that Pismo Avenue one is being used as a pedestrian trail, and that we do not want them to vacate any of the property. We don't want them to vacate any of the easement within these paper roads because they are future trails, potentially. And we've had an instance where that did occur, and that was unfortunate, although there's still some possibility there. So in the Los Osos Community Plan, it does state that the public, before they vacate any of these road easements, it should come to LOCAC. And we want to reiterate that with the county, that these should be coming to LOCAC so that we don't lose any access to these potential trails. And that's what we're working on. Any questions about that? All right. Don't see any questions. All righty. So you'll hear more about that, I think, as we go along, but I just wanted to share that trail map with you. All right. We don't have any business items. We need to check up on the attachments for the policies and procedures, and also that.
I thought I thought we were going to do the election stuff that was required in June.
Oh, it didn't get on the agenda. Let me put it on next month. Sorry.
Well, it says it's supposed to be done in January.
It does. Would you like to do it?
I thought we were just doing it under business item.
Well, then let's do it. All right. So we have elections coming up in May, and we need to elect an elections committee. We have a volunteer. Actually, there's only 3 of us who can be on the committee because everybody else is up for re-election. So that would be myself, Jim Salio, and David. David. Oh no, not David.
I'm running for election.
It's Andrea.
Andrea is still in. Andrea, myself, and Jim. So we are the election committee for holding the election. The election will be in May. And we have Jim, who's volunteered to be the chair. Is that correct?
Yes, I'll still be the chair.
Okay, great. So we have a chair and we have a committee. And is there anything else? I see Tom Cross, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just thought Tom had his hand up, so I'm not sure if you had a question.
Tom, you have a question?
More of a statement. Forgive me if this is not my place. Just my knowledge of parliamentary procedure kicked in. Running for election does not preclude someone, in most cases, from, unless it's in the bylaws, from being a part of an elections committee. Otherwise, something like what just happened, or what almost happened, would occur, and it would be almost impossible to have a committee in certain circumstances. So, just in case that makes things easier, in case that changes things up. But you are the chair; it's your decision if you want to go that way or not.
All right, great. Thank you, Tom. I think we're okay with the 3 of us being on the election committee. Anything else?
We need to set a date for the election.
Okay.
So that's required.
I gotta say, I'm just uncomfortable. This is not, I'm sorry to be a stickler in this, but this isn't on the agenda, and I feel like I know we're doing it under business, but it's not an agenda item, and I feel like we can go ahead and do it, but I guess going forward, we've got to make sure these things are on the agenda. We can't really take a vote on something that's not on the agenda. And maybe it's just by consensus we're doing it, but I feel like we're kind of flying loose tonight. And it makes me
flying
uncomfortable.
A little bit loose.
Yeah,
I
makes
agree
me uncomfortable.
Should have been on the agenda.
I'm sorry.
And we all get a chance to put stuff on the agenda. So we all have a chance because we all see the agenda. So yeah. I mean,
how would you like to proceed? Should we do it by consensus tonight, or shall we put it on the February agenda?
Sure. Let's do it because we do need to get it done. Let's do that, but then we'll just be super cautious in the future.
All right. Fair enough. Okay. Do we have a consensus with the council that we're going to put this?
So we're going to do the election. We had talked about having it just for one day, and you have to vote in person. And we'd have it like a poll open for 4 hours. So I found in our archives the last election we had was on May 1st. So I think a Saturday, if we're going to do an in-person election, I think Saturday is probably a good day to do it. And so that's the second. The 9th is Mother's Day weekend, the 16th, the 20, the 23rd is Memorial Day weekend, and then the 30th is the last Saturday. So there's 5 Saturdays in May. Anybody have any druthers on what Saturday to do it?
One of the things that we talked about was the potential of putting the election on a day that there was something else going on, so we could generate some more public participation than just voting for LOCAC members. So maybe what we can do, instead of deciding on the date tonight, maybe get the election committee together and talk about, can we double up with some other event, or do we want to have an outreach event like we had a few years ago when all I can remember was Deborah served ice cream, which was great, and a bunch of people came and spoke, and it was a super positive thing. So maybe we can do that instead of picking the date tonight. Talk about how to get people, because otherwise I don't think I'm fearful that we won't get a good turnout.
That's a very good
I mean,
point.
I don't have a problem, but I'm just doing what our policy and procedure says. So our policy says select election in May and our January LOCAC meeting.
All right, so we have our election committee, we have our election chair. We don't have a date. I cannot be here on the 2nd. I will be in Boston. So let's postpone the date, the election date, to our February agenda. And perhaps between now and then, we can have a meeting of the election committee and we can discuss more about the kind of outreach or event that Andrew is talking about.
I think that's a great plan.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Okay. I think we can adjourn. Thank you all for a very interesting meeting today. And so there are more to come. And thank you, Jim, for showing up. And same phone number for you, so we know how to reach you, right?
Absolutely same spot, same place.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Good night, everyone.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.